Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. Today, I have a very beautiful guest with me. It's Deborah Tyson. She's a CEO and founder of Blisspot. She's a speaker. She's a well-being coach. She did so much in this space of mindfulness, well-being, and helping teams and leaders to thrive that I can't wait to connect and actually have this conversation today because she is absolutely I don't even want to say only powerhouse, but it's also a beautiful person and has such a beautiful human and kind approach to leadership, to people, and growing the business the way she grows and connects with people. It's absolutely fascinating. And I wish that we have all entrepreneurs like her because it is always about relationships. She really trusts in, honest, beautiful relationships and a great collaborator. And I can't even say everything what I want to say because that will be probably 30 minutes of the podcast. So Deborah, welcome to my podcast, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's absolutely delighted. I'm so delighted to be here and work with such a like-minded soul who we share so many values and the way we see the world going forward in new and conscious ways. So it's wonderful to be here today.
Thank you so much. And look, I love to start because I can talk about you so much, but I know you only short time because we met at Speakers Alchemy Group, amazing group of people and speakers. And we had a few conversations, and I realized we are so aligned. And I think you're perfect for this podcast just to really give people a bit more understanding of mindfulness and how mental health is important, how emotions are important, how our thinking mindset is important in a scale of the business. But I would love you to tell us a little bit more about you and your background. How did you even end up to do what you do right now?
I would have to say it happened to me organically. This is quite
I
different
love
from
that.
when I started off my journey. When I started off as a designer, was passionate about design and I had my first business. It grew really quickly. In the first year, I had 7 team members. And even though I love design, I had absolutely no idea. I was only 24 how to work with a team or, I was thinking,
That's
because as
impressive. Yeah.
well, as what happens in teams, we'll have all these projects, but there'd be bits of conflict or interpersonal issues. And as the leader of the team, you are expected to deal with those.
Yeah.
Being so young, I went to the Applied College of Psychology and I studied HR. And I remember the first lecture that I was in was conflict resolution. And I just felt like I was home. I just thought, oh my gosh, all these skills are so helpful. They make such a difference. And from there, I was just on this lifelong journey of learning, a life learner, because I realized one thing I realized very early in my career, which I'm so grateful for, if you're struggling in business or personally equally, so if your stress levels are up here, it probably means your skills are down here. But you can go out, and especially now, it's evolved so much since back then. I used to have to read books or listen to cassette tapes back in the old days. You can go
I've
and
been
get
there.
listen to a podcast,
Yeah.
find there's something on YouTube. There's so many wonderful sites, and you can improve your skills so you're up here and you're back into the flow. Because when you're like this, you're not really flowing when you're stressed and out of, but when you're here, you're back into the flow again. So that's what I learned. And I just felt I was on this incredible voyage of discovery. And back then it was all based around business skills. So I took my conflict resolution skills, my interpersonal skills, managing cultures and teams, all the wonderful things that I learned there, change management, back into my team. And we really thrived and prospered. It was such a good foundation for that business. So we could really focus. Once we had that in place, and the team was happy, loved coming to work. And those skills used to flow out into their personal life as well. Obviously, if you can manage conflict better
Yeah.
at work, you can manage it better at home. And so, yeah, we just went from strength to strength, and that became an award-winning business, and I was able to sell it. I had a lot of very good times with that, and then I transferred that into my second business. But in my second business, I was on a slightly different path. I was starting to go a little bit deeper into my personal journey. So I was having trouble with my hip. My hip was out of alignment, and I went to the chiropractor, and she'd fixed it a few times, and she said, it's just not shifting. She said, you've got an emotion on your hip. I went, oh my God, what is she even talking about? That was like a whole new language to me. And she used a lot of kinesiology, muscle testing to find things out. Anyway,
Yeah.
she sent me to a kinesiologist, and he found out what that emotion, why I was stuck. And once I had the awareness around that, and I developed the skills to shift emotions or be aware of it and let it pass, my hip was better. It was like magic. So that again set me on another journey of, I actually ended up studying kinesiology, a fully qualified kinesiologist myself, because I realized how powerful it is. And then I was really on this path of mindfulness, the mind-body connection, our thoughts, how we think impacts how we feel impacts how we behave, and vice versa in a way. There can be an external behavioral incident, then we react to that
Yeah.
emotionally, and that impacts how we think. Just how closely connected they are, and how when we understand that and have awareness, how we can make these positive change and be the person we want to be, rather than reacting unconsciously, we can
Yeah.
consciously respond to situations. So that's how I got on the journey initially.
That's such a lovely. I love it when you say organic, like it all happened organically. And it's visible that you actually basically slowly connected to your gifts and to your passion through actually your personal issues, right? So first there was leadership in your first business, and I love how you describe it. So you realize that you have to learn, and that you were so young. That is so impressive that, in 24, you started your first business. I think that's amazing. And congratulations on that. I
Thank you,
love this,
Alex.
like early entrepreneurs. And it's such a great story because you were always, like driven probably to create something more. And I love that about you. So and I love that when you changed your business again, it just became something that you struggle with and you wanted to solve it and you find another passion, right? So it is so amazing. I wish that we are all so open, right? And when we have actually struggle and we solve it, we can share it and we can share the gifts. It's so beautiful. And I know you do it now a lot in Blisspot. So first, probably give us a little bit of update around what you do right now, because you talk about kinesiology and you solve the emotional problem and you realize how amazing actually that connection between, body, mind is and soul, I can say.
Mm.
So what do you do right now? Because I want people to know about Blisspot and why you do what you do.
Well, from my second business, which was actually a healthy fast food business, it was like McDonald's, but it was healthy. It had all, because I was quite passionate about nutrition, because I know nutrition, what we eat, really does have an impact on how
Yeah.
we feel, our chemicals in our body. So I was really passionate about bringing good, healthy food to as many people as I possibly could.
Yeah.
But during that business, which was successful, it won some awards. I ended up selling it though, because I went to a seminar and they said, what are you really passionate about? Is it products or is it ideas and philosophies? And for me, it's always been ideas and philosophies, and sharing those to help make people's lives easier. I realized that was really the core passion of mine, because when I did that, because I'd been doing that with conflict resolution and my interpersonal skills, and
Yeah.
people got the shifts and changes, I was just so happy. Like, I was really happy for them that they weren't struggling or stuck in the same old
Yeah.
situation. So I thought, oh, I'd love to do that as a business. So I
Mm.
ended up selling Eat Smart, which was my second business, and starting up Blisspot. But I felt, although I had my own body of work around emotional mastery, which I'm extremely passionate about, and emotional intelligence, I realized that when we're struggling, we struggle at different things at different ages. For a start, like when we get out into the world, it could be learning how to relate to people, say in your 20s, finding a relationship
Yeah.
skills. As we go on, it could be parenting, or it could be midlife type issues. People have, or sleep, people have these variety of issues at different times.
Many, yeah.
So I felt I wanted to offer a really comprehensive global offering. And I knew that tech was the way to do it, because with tech, we can really get things out there far and wide to people that we could never have reached before. We can also make it really affordable, which was a very big value of mine. I really wanted to make sure that people could get the help that they wanted, and not having the money wasn't going to be the reason that was stopping them.
Yeah.
And we are going to offer scholarships and things for people who can't afford wellbeing going forward, based on a percentage of our revenue. So we help people very affordably access the help that they need, but we also do it in a way that's very accessible, because people become very overwhelmed often, and they don't even often know where to start. So we make it very easy in giving them a topic to choose that they'd like to work on. It could be relationships or feeling alone. We actually research the 8 challenges that people commonly face throughout humanity, and they're things like relationships, financial well-being, physical issues, feeling
Yeah.
alone and disconnected, anxiety, stress, those types of things, the big things that we all as humans
All
struggle
experience that.
with.
Yeah. At some
And
point. Yeah.
yeah, and we can always all improve our skills in most of those areas. So people can choose what they'd like to work on, and then they get delivered a program over 28 days to help them improve in that area, backed up by exercise and also meditation. Because what I've learned on my journey, that health is actually based on the triad of health. For really good health and well-being, we need to support ourselves emotionally, structurally, and also chemically. So meditation helps us with that. It helps us with our hormones, what chemicals we're inviting into our body, more serotonin, more endorphins, those kinds of things. So that really helps us chemically. We have exercise programs that get delivered to people daily, which helps them with their structure, make their body nice and strong. And also the education component of it, where we're growing emotionally, we're overcoming, getting out of Blisspot's all based on getting people out of fight and flight, which we all experience to some degree or another, and getting them into their natural thriving state. Because I believe our body's natural state, in our natural resting state, it's one of health and happiness. But we've often lost our way through external situations, life's inevitable challenges. So Blisspot gives you the skills to bring yourself back to your center. It's not going to magically dissolve all those challenges and things that are happening around you, but it's going to at least align you to your inner peace, so you've got the best chance of getting through those challenges in the best way, and in a way that you were proud of.
Yeah. And I love that what you say. I think it's really important that when we are not okay, we can't really solve any challenges, and the challenges became harder and bigger, and they become real issues, and not only, health issues, but they start to roll through our life, and they're bigger and bigger. So I think that starting with having or being at ease, being in at like you said, great, probably chemical, hormonal balance state. So we are more in parasympathetic, not the fight or flight or sympathetic nervous system, but we are really resting and digesting, and we are actually taking care of ourselves. So it is definitely what helped me as well to solve more problems and issues, and see more opportunities. And it really changed my life just to actually change the state. So I love that you taking that as the first thing that people need to do. Whatever problem they have, they need to first just calm down, basically, and just really take care of their well-being. So I love that that is the core of your work, because I think it's very, very important. I'm absolutely big advocate of that. So when you think about, because you have, a lot of businesses that you already run, and you already, doing some big project with more experts in the world. So what really keeps you going? Because I think, the light and energy and the inner motivation and inspiration you have inside, and you're just still going and you're creating all those businesses. What is that? I would love to know what keeps you, waking up and just go for it again every day.
Well, I feel fortunate, because I've always been very internally motivated, very, very driven. But I would say in my younger days, even though I absolutely love my business, my design business, and that grew to a really big business, and we had offices in Sydney and Canberra, I was quite driven in that business. And now looking at myself and what I know about my own unconscious state back then, because it's a journey, you know, that we all go through,
Yeah.
is that I think I was probably more in fear back in my 20s, even though I had a good life and things were going well. But having done the work that I've done now, I realize in our natural state, we're driven from love. That is our natural state. And when we're in love, in a state of love, as consistently as we possibly can be, we are more likely, and I love the way you said at ease, to be at ease, because when we're in a loving
Yeah.
state, we are at ease, we're relaxed, we tap into our wisdom, we're intuitive, we feel connected to ourselves. It's
Yeah.
much easier for us to connect to other people. And the opposite of that is ill at ease or dis-ease in the worst case scenario, when we're actually got that disease in our body
Yeah.
because of what is going on with our mind and body. Not that I'm disrespectful of people's diseases, and I don't think they should blame themselves for their diseases either. But just practically speaking, or it's even common sense, when we're in a natural loving state, things flow for us better. We're better. We want to
Yeah.
talk to people. We want to connect to people. So,
I agree.
yeah.
So sorry, I cut you off there.
No, that's okay. No, not at all. So, sorry, Alex, what was the question again? I got myself a bit
I was just talking about basically how I love when you do what you do and how you are inspired and
the
motivated
motivation.
internally. Yeah. So what is that
Yeah.
yeah keeps
Well, I'm quite lucky because I've always been like, I loved being a designer. I loved doing that. I loved having my shop and helping people with nutrition and food. That was fantastic as well. And I honestly think it is doing what brings you more joy in your life, like inviting more
yeah
joy into your life by focusing on your passions and your skills.
yeah
Luckily, I'm quite
yeah
creative, and that was always very well at school. I always got, like, if I came first in art, or I always got the art prizes and all of that. So that made me feel happy about myself. So I think it's definitely just exploring your natural skills and talents,
yeah.
doing those. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see definitely it's love. Like we talk, we use love word a lot, but I can see that you are definitely internally driven. It is definitely feel of, you know, what you do, how passionate you are about that. And I think love is a good word for that. Like do what you love. Just really think about it and being in that natural state. I think what you mentioned, right? Like when you're helping people to get in that state of ease and being in inner peace and feeling like you are good and aligned, you can actually create more. And I think then is the time when you can connect with that love, like what it is actually I truly want to do. What do I really like? What do I really love? What do I really enjoy? Because a lot of people don't ask that question. They always think about their life from perspective of, oh, this is the degree I have, this is the experience I have, so I just need to follow the journey, and I need to do basically the same thing again. If I want to apply for job, I need to apply for the same job because that's where is my experience. But I think the world is amazing now that you can actually apply for different jobs, and you can actually gain different opportunities and skills and experiences through being more creative. I think how you can, you know, use the love and the passion that you have. So I love that you're following that in your business. It's so amazing, and I wish everybody has that opportunity to try it, because the results, as visibly you have great results, so there are results, you know, coming from that passion and love. So when you think about Deborah, I would like to know your opinion on leadership in general, because I know you're working with a lot of different people and you worked before with some corporate teams and probably now as well. So you can see some gaps in leadership and even in small business, right? Because you mentioned 24 years old, you know, you started your business and now you have like a lot of people in your team and you're like, okay, so what should I do? And people usually are not trained in leadership, you know, from like we don't come up from university and we are leaders, right? It just doesn't happen. And sadly, it doesn't happen, but nobody really teaches us, you know, how to handle behaviors and how to handle other people, how to talk to them, how to be empathetic, and all those things we are really not learning. So for me, I always see the gap in that emotional intelligence that was not really taught in a school. But I would like to know your intake on that. Like, so what do you think is the leadership gap, you know, in small and bigger businesses? What do you see where the leadership is going right now?
Well, I believe it's funny because a lot of the things you said, I totally agree. Well, all of the things you said, I totally agree with. And
Yeah,
just picking up on that fact that I believe for leaders today, there is immense pressure, like in corporates,
it
in
is. Yeah.
small business.
Mm.
Wellbeing has become this huge thing. There's the ISO 45 or 00045 International Standards Organization that says for psychological safety at work, businesses of all sizes have a responsibility to take care of people's well-being or psychological safety at work, which is good because we need boundaries. That's true. But on the other hand, that is huge for people. Like if you're a manager, say you're an engineer, you could be the world's best engineer, so good at your job and even good at managing people, but that does not necessarily mean that you've got the skills or the ability to tap in and see if somebody's having a bad day, because people can be very good at hiding their stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a massive ask, I think, because it takes people. I've been studying this work for 30 years, and I know that you have been as well, Alex, for a long period of time. It takes a long time to develop those skills, especially personal growth skills.
Absolutely.
You just don't learn it all at once. We're like layers and onions, and we learn and we keep growing and evolving. And for, I think, team leaders to have to take people on that journey when they might even be struggling themselves, because how we present when we're not coping with things, and everybody does it, we go into
Yeah.
fight, flight, or freeze, and there's even
Yeah.
new ones now called faint, fawn. um
Yeah.
there's 6 of them. So people, it's changing all the time. Psychology is changing all the time. New developments are changing all the time. And I'm fully engrossed in this world. So for a leader who also has to be a manager, who also has to keep up with all the latest technical developments in their field, it's a lot for them to take on. And as I found when I was struggling, when I was 24 years,
Yeah.
with my design studio. So because I'm passionate about it, I went and did it for
Yeah.
myself. I went on the journey for myself, and that's been a lifelong journey. But I would say to leaders, don't struggle and don't
Mm.
judge yourself if you are not absolutely excellent in this area of managing people's well-being at all times, because that is a very big ask. I would say to get the support for yourself as well, to be able to support yourself in tapping into that inner peace. And then I guess if you've got the capacity, you would be able to
Yeah.
share skills with other people, or alternatively get the support for your team members for other people that are experts at doing that. And then everybody can focus on what they would do best. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very interesting that you mentioned that, and I love that we're going a little bit that direction, because what I saw, there is a lot of people, and exactly like engineers or more technical people, right? They became leaders, and they can be great leaders as well, because they are very thorough and they're amazing. But also, what happened, I think, what is the problem, that the psychological safety came as a surprise almost, right? Like it came very fast, and very fast it became responsibility of leaders very fast, and between that no one ever created proper educational part. But proper, I'm not talking about doing presentations like when you went to government pages, it was presentation about psychological safety, what does that mean, what it is, what to do.
That's
That's
right.
not education, that's not the skill, right? So
That's right.
so when I work with leaders, I had people struggling, and they said, I don't like, I know everything how to do. It's easy to lead, doing this strategy for the business, lead people towards the vision. It's fine, set up the values and leading people with values. It's not actually that hard. But what is the problem? That people were freaking out. It's like, Alex, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with someone comes and they have mental health issues, they have relationship issues, they are crying in office. I don't know what to do, and I'm so scared that I will advise them wrong. And I said, that is the first thing that nobody ever told anyone. You can't advise. You don't advise them.
Mhm.
Just don't tell them what to do. You are not
So
there for
true.
that. It's right, like, because we are not here to tell people what to do. I said, even I'm not here to tell people what to do. Is you as a leader, you just need to be there as a support, and you need to be able to navigate them towards the next step, or the help or whatever they need. So you just need to be aware of really handling that right way. So you don't push them away, you keep them being open. But who gave them that skill? No one. It is
That's right.
it's so sensitive, right? Like it's such a fine skill to deal with behaviors, because when you say one word, it can actually create this trouble. And you don't know that you shouldn't use that one word because nobody ever told you. So for me, that was all like a big surprise, that we want to create new rules and we want to put more responsibility on leaders, but we are actually not teaching them anything. We are not giving them the skills and opportunity to understand what they need to learn. So I'm really happy that you're creating that mindfulness and communication and everything. So I want to go there, because I know in Blisspot you have so many different experts and courses, and probably question will be, how do you, or how maybe leaders can use your programs or your courses or meditations. So is there any, like, a particular thing that you believe that will be the best way to navigate through your website, for example, and just go to the programs and find something for leaders? Is that something that you offer as well?
Yeah, I do. Well, the thing I love about Blisspot is because you can really personalize your own journey. It's kind of for everybody. So like a leader's got their own personal journey, but it also gives, because in a team, somebody might be struggling with speaking to their teenage daughter. So that's creating a distraction in the workplace.
Yeah,
Somebody might have poor health. Somebody might not be sleeping well. Somebody might have low energy. Everybody has different problems. So with Blisspot, the leader can, because at the end of the day, you cannot really change other people. You
yeah,
can only change
absolutely.
yourself. But so if the leader, say, they were struggling with a specific issue, they worked on their own challenge to get, because Blisspot's all about bringing you back to your center. So you're
Yeah,
aligned and you're in a responsive rather than a reactive state. And especially in the workplace can be really difficult because we all have our own
yeah,
triggers. So it can help you sort of desensitize those by getting that daily support. Because what we've found, or James Clear in Atomic Habits says that it's what you do little and often that makes the biggest difference. And having been on this journey for 30 years, that's what I find too. You can go, conferences, seminars, retreats are fantastic because they can give you a big shift. They can definitely fast track it, and they can get you to a certain point where you have an insight. They are so essential. But I think in conjunction to that, it's really good also, this is what I found, is to have the daily support where you're just devoting
yeah,
30 minutes to yourself every day, to your exercise, a meditation, and a bit of education.
yeah,
And if you do that every single day, over the year, James Clear from Atomic Habits says you will have grown 38 times. It's the 38x factor in the year. So that's the way that we do, where, yes, and I think retreats and workshops are equally as important, because you can get the big aha moments and have the
yeah,
questions and all the special things that come with that. But this is
yeah,
in conjunction to it. So Blisspot works really well for leaders and their teams, because the leader can work on themselves, but then not have to be micromanaging all their team members, because all their issues are going to be different. And that's why with Blisspot, it's just not me. We've got a
yeah,
community of 80 experts, leading global experts who educate on all sorts of things like forgiveness. Like, I'm not an expert in forgiveness. That's a very specialized topic to get that really deep support in, or sleep's another one, or there's so many things that we educate on,
yeah,
but that's why it needs lots of different people to meet people where they're at on their journey, not just a global kind of
yeah,
well-being program, because not
yeah.
one size does fit all.
Yeah, and I love that. I would love to say to everyone who's listening, Deborah's website is amazing, because you can actually tap into, like, what is going on right now for you. So you can actually choose, and you can fill up, the forms and questions. They are there, and they will really navigate you to solve your problem, basically, or work on your problem and find solutions. So I think that's really great. What I love about your project, especially, like, we run a lot of retreats, but it's great when people can have after retreat a little bit more support, and they can choose what's going on, because on the way or after or even before retreats, right, people going through the journey and they experience different things, and we all experience them. We are not different. We both experience so many things on the way, on the journey, and it's normal. But having some kind of source of information, I think also for leaders, if leaders have trouble in, in the house, in a team, they can say, hey guys, like, check the website, go to, for example, anxiety, and learn a little bit more about that, or go to, stress management, and learn a little bit more about it, and try to handle it, and let me know how you go. And maybe just, leaders become that accountability buddy that will check on you, but
Yeah.
at least
Yeah.
people can go somewhere. So I think leaders should be equipped with tools, techniques, with websites, with sources, with podcasts, with books that can actually help people. So I feel like maybe finally is that age of pushing leaders not just take responsibility, but being the source of advice from perspective of what you can learn, what you can read, what you can listen. So it's almost like they become the source of that because they actually grow and they learn. And I think being that person is always good. You don't need to be expert in anything, basically. You just need to understand where to find things and where to find some self-help tools and some well-being tools, which definitely you covered a lot of them in Blisspot. So it's absolutely amazing. So I think it's good to think about that differently. So when you talk about leaders, I just found it very overwhelming for leaders, being responsible. But I feel like maybe this is the way, just looking at that different way, and look at the resources that you have available everywhere. And I hope that will help to anyone who is listening and who is already leading the team or business. So guys, if you want to find out more about resources, we will definitely share some in description of the podcast. But I would like to, before I will let you go, I would love to ask one more question. So what it is, Deborah, for you, what you will tell yourself, to your 24 years old self when you started first business? And what you will tell yourself maybe do differently, or change or focus on when you were starting?
Well, I guess this is kind of the essence of the work and what we offer on Blisspot. We give people the skills to do this. And when I was 24, I was so naive, but
Yo.
and just starting out, but full of passion and enthusiasm for the world, which was good. That got me a long way. But I think I would have told myself how important it is to have the skills to be able to connect to your inner peace when life is challenging. And I've got a little formula I was just going to share with your audience in case it helps them. And so it's based on the acronym of PEACE, the word peace. And so when you're having a difficult time, which we all do from time to time, it's important to, especially when we're triggered, and that can happen so easy in a work situation with a
Yeah.
leader, their team. Everything can be going on fine. And as you said, it can be one word, just something said, and that person is triggered.
Mm.
So when that happens, it's really important we can bring in this PEACE methodology where we pause and we tune into our body. Our body is the most powerful supercomputer you will ever find. It's giving you information all the time about yourself, but we override it. We just
Feel right.
we know better. It's our head. We think, oh no, we're not really tired. We'll stay up and watch an extra 2 things of
Yeah,
Netflix.
I know.
We go to bed exhausted, totally exhausted, for example. And the next thing is E, and that's in peace, it's embrace, and embracing things as they are, and particularly being able to make peace with your past. A lot of people have traumatic backgrounds. I think a lot of people have traumas in their life, even if they have a good life.
Yeah.
There's
Everyone
trauma.
has small, yeah, at least
They do.
small traumas.
Big or,
Yeah.
big or small, big or small. And if we're walking around with these traumas unresolved, that's when we get triggered. If we don't do the E stage, the embrace stage, it impacts all the rest of our solution of being able
Yeah.
to align to our center. So embracing your past and making peace with it. If you think back to your past and it makes you upset, or you don't want to talk about it, you want to bury it, they're all the exact signs you need to work on it, because when you do, everything will change for the better. You'll feel lighter, freer. It'll be like you've unburdened yourself. when you're holding down repressed emotions from the past, we could do a whole podcast on this.
Oh,
I won't do that.
we should do it
Yeah.
next time. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you're holding down a giant beach ball underwater. That takes a lot of energy. And if we're holding down unresolved issues, it's exactly the same thing. But if we can make peace with them, we
Yeah.
release it and we feel totally better. So people will do anything though than face their past traumas.
Yeah.
Usually it's a bit painful. It takes a lot. It does take courage. That's the big ingredient that you need. People will shop, drink, take drugs, watch TV all the time. They will do anything rather than face their past. But if they can, it's the gold. And also too, if it's done in a safe, loving environment, and that would be up
Yeah.
to you to find that.
Agree.
And if
Yeah.
it doesn't feel that for you, that is not the right place for you to work through that trauma. It's got to be safe and loving.
Yes.
That's so,
Agree.
so important. But yeah, so yeah, that can really turn things around for you. And then the next one is A, which is align. And that is, as I've spoken about already, really aligning yourself with your center. So what normally happens is some expected event or challenge comes towards us, and we might be totally thrown off guard, and we go into survival because we're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get through this? And we'll often go into fight or flight or freeze. There's other ones too, but I won't go into those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Three big main ones. And when we do that, we're losing our power. When we're in flight, we're withdrawing, we're not saying anything.
We
When
cannot respond. Yeah.
you can't. And then when you're in fight, you're aggressive, you're upsetting people, nobody wants to talk to you, and you really regret that, usually speaking later. And we all do probably both of them to more or less degrees in different situations, but we're totally away from our power. So it's getting the skills, and again, we could do a whole session on this, but to be able to respond from your wise, peaceful self. Because when we're in fight or flight, we're scared, we're lashing out, we're doing things we don't mean to do, or we're just totally shut down and disempowered. But when we're aligned with our true self or our authentic self, we're wise, we're intuitive, we're peaceful, compassionate, we're
grounded. Yeah.
we're grounded. Yeah, that's so true. And the second last one is connect. And you can look at it. I don't want to be too spiritual about it, so I want to be very grounded in this as well. But when we're in our head or in that fight or flight state, we are not connected to our inner wisdom. So it's about being able to connect. I see it as more like our higher self. And when we're in our higher self, but you can look at it in whatever model suits you. It might be just that when you're looking at it in your more relaxed self, that's what it could be.
It's even scientific explanation when we are actually that rest and digest in parasympathetic nervous system. We are calmer.
That's it.
We have access to our right brain. I believe that's always my the creative brain intuition. So maybe that's the explanation what some people need for a scientific one or more biological.
That's right. I love that. Thank you so much for mentioning it. So you can mean your parasympathetic nervous system, which has got all when you're in the rest and digest, through to a more spiritual thing would be if you're connected to your higher self. But in either of those situations, you're out of your stressed mind that mental loops, catastrophizes things, look at the worst possible thing that can happen. You're in the opposite to that. You're calm, you're peaceful. When you connect to this, some people call it faith, your intuition, but you're in a responsive state. So connecting to that, and each of these phases build on the other. And the last one, E, is being able to express yourself. So when you're in that wise, empowered, rest and digest state, you will get insights. You will know what's right for you. You'll be able to see, you'll have clarity. You'll be able to see the best course of action as a leader or a team member. Everything will start to flow again. And a lot of people are in this state and they get they know, but they don't have the confidence to actually say that, speak their truth or say what's real for them or take action on it. So that's that last E, expression, in terms of speaking or taking action, is really, really important, because when you express yourself from this place, people will hear it. If somebody's in fight or flight, and they just go off and they're angry or they're withdrawn. Nobody's listening to that person.
Yeah.
But when you're speaking, even if you're saying things that people don't really want to hear, they will listen because it's coming from a different place. So that's just an overall peace solution. And Blisspot shares the skills for people to have the different skills in all those different areas so that they can achieve that connection to the inner peace and wisdom on a daily basis.
Yeah. I love your framework, and I love how that simplifies everything. And I love that we are both so aligned, because I absolutely agree. We shouldn't be resolving anything. I try to don't speak up when we are in a stress. And that happens a lot, right? When we even like speaking in front of people, so many people get so stressed they can't even find the words, because we are not using our prefrontal cortex. We can't use our confidence, our smart part of brain. Basically, we can't really use intellect because we are so disconnected. And I love that you use there in P.E.A.C.E. there is a connected, because I found it like you're connected, but because you're so connected and calm, it's actually connecting you with your love, with your passion, with your intuition, with everything, because you have access to that. So that is such a beautiful framework. And I think it's so powerful, because I truly believe you can change your life, you can change your leadership, you can change your business results, you can change everything. You can become who you want to become if you can actually navigate your state, and you can be in that state of peace. And that's so important, because that changed my life, that changed probably your life, and people that you work with. So it's a really powerful. Yeah, it's so powerful, and I can't stop, bragging and thinking about it and talking about it and sharing, because I think it's so important. That's why I love to have you on my podcast, and I really would love to invite you to the next session where we will talk about peace and parts of it. People, please, when you're listening, just keep the peace, the all parts of it in your mind, in your toolkit. Take it with you into your leadership so you can use it. Just go back in the podcast, write it down, make some notes, and have it with you, just to understand how you can start your development, how you can start your journey to become more impactful leader, and also not only in your team, but also in your family, with your friends and community. So hopefully this will help. And Deborah, if people want to connect with you, where they can find you?
Well, they can go to the site. We've got a contact page there. So if you put a message there, I'll definitely get that. Or connect with me via LinkedIn, which I believe Alex, you're going to put a link in the.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And I've also designed a quiz probably a year or so ago now on how powerful are you. So that's a really good way. It's really quick. It takes less than a minute to do, to determine kind of where you are on your journey. And it's fun, like it's a fun quiz. And it says where your blind spot is and where you're stuck and where your bliss spot is, and gives you some tools and tips in how to get there. So that's another offering that we have too.
Awesome. So for everyone, thank you so much for listening, and thank you, Deborah, for being here and spending time with me and with our audience. I will share the link. I will share the quiz as well. I will actually go and do it as well, just to have a little bit more fun today. Thank you so much for your time, and have a beautiful day.
Thank you.